What's up, my fellow builders? I'm Nick, and this is my channel, Build It with Nick. This is part 5 in a series of videos I'm doing on a custom Cedar Pavilion build. These homeowners hired me to come in from the inspiration and ideas they had from Pinterest and get them to the point where they're enjoying it sometime by the end of spring, I hope. I got like a month and a half to get them there. I think I can do that. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I take their existing deck and extend it over to the new concrete slab. The goal here is to wrap the entire perimeter, giving them an additional 300 to 400 square feet of deck space that they can enjoy on this build. I also want to share with you some tips and things that help me whenever I'm setting treated deck boards. If you're new to the channel, it would be a huge help if you like, subscribed, and if you want to be notified for future content, give that little bell icon some love too. That's it for me. Let's go build it with Nate. All right, getting my measurement ready for the first ledger board that I'm going to cut. I ended up having to rip off 1.5 inches so I could attach it to the front part of the slab because of the concrete that got underneath the form board when they poured. If you watched the last video, there's a dingo, a piece of equipment I rented for digging these piers, and it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, so I had to get behind it and dig them all out by hand. And here I'm just pre-drilling all the holes. Gonna anchor it with about 5 anchor bolts, 5 4-inch long, 1/2 inch diameter anchor bolts, and it'll extend out, as you can see, it'll extend out and attach to that footing. And then I'll take the rim joist here, attach it to the existing deck, and it'll extend all the way out to the second footing where I'll double up the joist. And it's real simple what I do there. I attach a base plate with an anchor to the concrete footing and just set a little 4x4 that I then anchor the joist to with screws, and eventually I go behind it and use what they call ledger locks to give it, to really secure it. Each joist gets toe nailed in with 3.5 inch long screws. I use a total of 3. And then on the end with the rim joist attached to the deck joist, I give it 2 screws and then go behind each one and give it 1 ledger lock. And there's no point where the deck extends more than 4 feet away from concrete. And the pier footings were set to 14 inches depth, which is what I can do here in South Central Texas with this type of deck that I'm building, because it's not very high. It's what they call low clearance deck. So it's going to be plenty sturdy, plenty of concrete to anchor to, 19 piers in total. There's my pup Abby. She's getting ready to watch me go to work again the next day. So back on the job, gonna finish wrapping it around to the back side here. This is where the grilling area is going to be on the pavilion. So the homeowner's going to set his 2 grills back here. And this is the highest point of the deck around the entire build. I think it's about 14 inches off the grade right there where I'm screwing in that board, screwing in that joist there. Deck joists get cut at 43 inches from where the ledger board and excuse me, the total width of the build of the deck is 46 inches. That gives me an even 7 deck boards that I run across, or 8 deck boards that I run across with 3/16 gap in it. And I think the entire width of that ends up being 47 inches total. So that way I wouldn't have to rip down any deck boards in order to set, so I could set them evenly across with the gap that I wanted. So just back out front again, attaching these. And I'll double up the joist here, a couple of the joist here, because it runs about 8 feet, just to give the deck on the front part here some stability, even though like most of those joists right there are going to be ground contact. Yeah, good progress made on this portion of the day. All the joists set, so the next day I can get back out there and start finishing the framing up here on the front part, and then start setting my deck boards. Right, it is looking good. One side of the deck framing is complete. So we are 16 inches on center, spanning no more than 8 feet between the footings, using 2x6 material. And right here what I'm doing is just reinforcing the existing stair stringers with some 2x4 material, treated material. And we are setting the first deck board. Gonna double check, make sure it's square against the slab. Always double checking and triple checking with the tape measure, even though I'll do that sometimes and still make mistakes, but that's what we're doing. We're constantly learning. And this little tool I have right here, this little jig, is made by Camo, and it's an edge, you set your screws, it's edge setting screws. So you can see I just dropped 2 little screws in there, and then I run it in with my driver, and it runs it in at the angle necessary for it to grab the deck board and the deck joist. And it's a very clean look. I had the electricians come out a couple days ago, and they were walking on the deck boards and think, where are the screws at? So it conceals them pretty nicely. So as you can see there, I got that 1-inch overhang, so it's an even, looks like 8 boards across. So no ripping. And on the front part there, I go ahead and just set all the screws, but I don't do that on the way down. On the way down, I go ahead and set them all, and then just set the screws at the ends, so I don't, in case I run into anything, I don't have to pull a bunch of screws out. But that front part there, I was pretty confident that we were good. But here, I'm just gonna set a few screws in the joist, and again, just in case I needed to go back behind myself and pull a board or adjust something. One tip that I would recommend is double up your joist anywhere deck boards ends meet. Gives you a lot more material to anchor to. Clean up your edges, like there. What I'm doing is setting it a miter cut on the end there. And that'll just kind of clean up the perimeter, make it look a little bit where you don't see the deck ends. The deck board ends, excuse me. Yeah, great tool. If you've never used one of those before, it takes about the same amount of time, in my opinion, to do that, setting edge screws, than it does putting them through the top. And it's a much cleaner look. It's less likely to split the wood. And that's the homeowner there. He likes to come out and chat with me whenever I'm building, asking me questions, and anytime I can share what I'm doing with him or how I'm doing it, I love doing that. So I hope this video helped you. Again, there's a few things in here when you're adding a little deck to the perimeter of a concrete slab, or in this case, this pavilion. And we'll end up doing the other side in a later video. But this is Nick, and thank you for watching.